In the high-octane world of Formula One, a new chapter is being written as Honda, the renowned engine manufacturer, has recently shed light on the unfolding drama surrounding the drivers' lineup for Aston Martin. This team, which is set to be powered by Honda engines from 2026 onwards, is at the heart of a seismic shift that could redefine its very core. Honda's recent statement indicates a bold and proactive approach towards determining who will be behind the wheel for Aston Martin. This raises the question, will Lance Stroll, the current driver and son of the team owner, need to dig deep and unlock new levels of performance to secure his place in his father's team? Or will the harsh reality of Formula One, where money often dictates the rules, continue to prevail? Lance Stroll's seat in the Aston Martin team is arguably one of the most secure in the Formula One grid, given that his father owns the team. It's almost inconceivable to think of him leaving unless there's a significant change in the future. However, it's important to note that the driver's market is a complex and ever-changing landscape. With Fernando Alonso continuing his collaboration with Aston Martin, despite rumors of a potential move to Mercedes or Red Bull, Honda has shown itself to be a proactive player. They are keenly interested in who will partner with the Spanish driver from 2026 onwards. Koji Watanabe, the sporting director of Honda F1 Racing, shared some insights on this matter. He revealed that Honda and Aston Martin had numerous discussions about their partnership, which is set to commence in 2026. During these conversations, they deliberated on the second driver and mutually agreed that Alonso is indeed a top-tier driver. Aston Martin sought Honda's opinion on whether extending Alonso's contract would pose any issues. While Honda did not make any specific requests, Watanabe emphasized the need for a strong driver lineup to secure victories. Watanabe subtly suggested that while Honda understands the father-son dynamic between Lawrence and Lance Stroll, they will not accept subpar performances from Lance, who has often been perceived as a privileged driver with a sense of entitlement. His outbursts towards his racing engineers have been deemed unprofessional, adding to the mounting pressure on both Lawrence and Lance. With Honda's entry and their championship-winning pedigree, expectations are high. They aim to compete for the top spots in both the Drivers' and Constructors' Championships. However, achieving this with a single driver, unless you're Max Verstappen leading the pack by a significant margin, seems unlikely for Aston Martin from 2026 onwards. They have a considerable gap to bridge to reclaim their spot on the podium. Honda, however, is no ordinary team. Their history shows a deep commitment to nurturing their academy drivers, one of whom is Yuki Tsunoda. After a few years, Tsunoda is finally beginning to demonstrate the potential that Honda saw in him, making him a driver to watch on the track. The pressure is mounting on Racing Bulls, with Liam Lawson making a strong case for himself. After a 5-race stint in 2023, Lawson emerged victorious in 3 races that he and Tsunoda both finished. This impressive performance has led to speculation that Honda will aim to secure a more competitive seat for him from 2026 onwards, most likely with Aston Martin. This potential move could lead to a conflict of interest. Lawrence Stroll, the team leader, has made it abundantly clear that his son Lance will retain his seat as long as he is in charge, regardless of his performance. This stance has deterred many potential investors from forming a relationship with Aston Martin. However, Aramco, who remained, is keen to deepen their collaboration to the extent of acquiring a significant stake in the Silverstone-based squad. Reports suggest that Lawrence is willing to relinquish a commanding stake in the leadership. He has been pressured by the primary car factory in England to cover losses in other areas. Interestingly, Aramco is more likely to align with Honda's views than Lawrence's. Looking ahead to 2026, the situation appears challenging for Lance, irrespective of whether Aramco steps up as a more substantial partner of Aston Martin. If you're under the impression that Honda doesn't have a say in Aston Martin's driver choice, let's remind you that Alonso decided to continue his collaboration with the Silverstone-based team only after discussions with Honda. The Japanese team convinced him of the success they could bring to his team, thanks to their experience gained from Red Bull's championship-winning years, which are likely to continue in the next 2 seasons. While this development is seen as a boon for Aston Martin, allowing their independence from Mercedes to continue unabated, it could also be a curse for Lawrence Stroll. He knows that there are slim chances of seeing his son outperform Alonso or whoever succeeds the Spaniard, mainly due to the environment he has created for him. Earlier this year, Yuki Tsunoda was asked about a potential move to Aston Martin, along with the team that brought him into the ranks of Formula One. His response was diplomatic, stating that he has a contract with Red Bull and the Racing Bulls, which he must respect. Helmut Marko echoed this sentiment, stating that if Honda wanted to take Tsunoda with them, they would first need to negotiate with the Austrian squad, as Tsunoda is contractually obligated to Red Bull. This narrative adds another layer of complexity to the unfolding drama in the world of Formula One. An intriguing narrative is quietly unfolding in the background. This narrative could potentially draw the three-time world champion, Max Verstappen, into a collaboration with Aston Martin. Koji Watanabe, the key figure at Honda, has expressed interest in this possibility, stating that while it's hard to envision this happening immediately after their separation in 2026, it's a scenario that the Japanese manufacturer will tirelessly work towards until it becomes a reality. Watanabe further elaborated on this, saying, "I don't think the day of Honda and Verstappen collaborating will come within a very short period of time. But if both continue their Formula One activities in the future, then we hope we can work together again one day." He emphasized the strong relationship and mutual trust between Honda and Verstappen, and how much the Honda workers admire Max. He also shared his fond memory of Verstappen, pointing at the Honda logo on the podium in Austria, a moment that was incredibly special for him. The year 2026 is set to bring a significant shakeup to the regulations. For the first time ever, Red Bull will enter the season as an independent producer of engines under the banner of Red Bull Powertrain, which will be badged by Ford. While they won't technically be rookies, given that they're now working under this brand by borrowing intellectual properties from Honda, the Japanese manufacturer will take a lot of engineers and knowledge from Red Bull. With the 2026 regulations expected to focus heavily on the engine and battery power, it's safe to assume that Aston Martin will be in a strong position to compete for points in the championship. This is why they have solidified their relationship with Honda. However, to achieve their goals, they need two exceptionally good drivers, which could be a tough pill to swallow for Lance Stroll. It's only feasible if Lance steps down from the team. We're not suggesting that Lance can't compete under pressure. We're simply highlighting the fact that there is no need for this, in the words of his own father, until he's the leader of the team. But once Lawrence starts to feel the pressure from external peers of Aston Martin, such as Honda, he might have to reconsider his decision. He could potentially send his son to drive in another category for Aston Martin and leave the seat for someone who could win races and consistently compete with the top dogs. This would help keep the money and sponsors coming in. With all this in mind, do you think Honda will choose Tsunoda or Verstappen if they have the opportunity to replace Stroll? More importantly, do you think there is a scenario in which Lawrence will realize how much his son's lack of performance is hurting his team to the point of actually relocating him to another racing series? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below.